everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me for another episode of AEW New Era, our challenge save where we're trying to complete these objectives, trying our damnedest to hopefully get out of the rut that we're in, because our performance is low right now. It's not very good. We do have some objectives to accomplish, but they won't help our opinion from the big boss man. Now, luckily, we'll have some time to change that around, but a lot of that has to do with our performance dip on some of these shows, unfortunately. So that's been the big issue, as we're losing that momentum. Very difficult for us to maintain. A lot of that has to do with the balance of the roster. We added some new people. We added some new potential here that hopefully could assist us. So I'm positive. I'm thinking we're going to be in a good place eventually, but we're definitely at a low point right now. As always, for our own end, we had to worry about those momentum chips and the changes that those could bring. So that is definitely a problem. Now we got a regular old episode of Dynamite coming up. Our last episode was pretty significant. We had some interesting things happening in there. And I know we took a couple, like a week and a half off, 2 weeks. So just as a sort of a refresher for yourself and myself, of course, we had Cody Rhodes beating in a triple threat for the number one contendership, which adds an interesting dilemma because he said he's never going to compete for the world championship, and now he's thrusted into it. So will he relinquish it, or will he go forward with it? Hangman being the main distraction, leading to a Punk Hangman feud here. Obviously going to be a big issue as we get into, I'm guessing, Holiday Bash will be our next big event. And then, you know, we have Jericho and Malachi Black starting to build up a feud. Malachi has been saying that he wanted to tear down the foundation of AEW, expose the rot in it. He's twisted Cody somehow through his defeats. Now he's clearly going after Jericho. It seems like he's going after all of the the original founders, if you will. And it seems like he's targeting Jericho next. So, you know, we got some interesting things happening here. Kind of building up some stuff. We had Silas Young join the school, and it didn't go as well as we wanted it to be. So that's still a problem. We might still be looking for like a really good leader for the school, somebody that really is a veteran that was underutilized, that is a good mic worker, good performer, someone that could really lead the troop. And Keith Lee obviously retaining the TNT Championship on Rampage in a pretty solid match, which is a great addition to the whole thing. Yeah, so we had some pretty good stuff happening, but we're still performing low. We need to turn that around for our owner goals here. Now, where to find it? I don't think we're in violation of any owner goals, I should say. We haven't failed any of these. So we have the average importance. And normally I would say we could kind of forego some of these, but at this point we want to be careful because we could end this save early if our performance gets too low and it's not in a great spot. So we really want to make sure we don't have any wrestlers that our class is having impactful style, and then we cannot hire or extend anybody who's known to have regular problems with ball enforcement. Bryan Danielson must be kept over 71 popularity, and we cannot fall into debt. Neither of those seem to be something that we're going to have an issue with, so I think we'll be fine. I don't think Bryan Danielson's popularity is going to have any big of a dip here. He's at 80, right? I doubt that he's been dipping at all. In fact, he's only been growing. So I don't think that's going to be an issue for us whatsoever. So for the most part, in terms of those ratings, we just have to be careful. But we do need to get some better performances on these shows in order to really ramp it up. So I think that's going to be definitely our focus this week, as well as trying to complete these objectives, and hopefully being able to boost these up a little bit. So let's go ahead and let's get on over to Dynamite. All right, guys, we're back, and some interesting news. Looks like we have found out that Well, AEW is getting into a war officially as the news dropped that sources in WWE and AEW, or in WWE, I should say, apparently consider themselves officially at war with AEW. So I think we need to follow suit there. Now that they're going to be firing the firing at us in such a way that it's probably time to do the same. Extremely negative views on each ends. We have a hostile agreement. I guess we can't necessarily also declare war. I don't want to end hostilities. I don't care. We could always do a dirty trick on them if required. That'd be pretty scummy. You do something like, verbal jabs. I think we could do a verbal jab. I don't think that's a big problem. Yeah, let's give them a verbal trick here. We'll give them a jab on the show. As they've now declared war, we will fire a shot back at them. Let them go ahead and suffer from that. All right, let's get on with the show and get ourselves to Dynamite. All right, we are here for Dynamite. Got some incidents here. See what's going on. Jerry Lynn entertained the locker room with a poker tournament, and we got something involving Bryan Danielson and Fuego del Sol. Bryan Danielson's been passing on tips on psychology because he is now his protege, so that is very cool. We will, I guess probably we don't have to open forum anymore. Actually, we don't have enough people that are that upset. We do have two people that are annoyed. Hangman Page is annoyed. Everyone else is pretty happy. Somebody else that's like really unhappy. Ooh, there was somebody. Matt Jackson's irritated. Let's try Matt Jackson, see if we can maybe pull a rib on him. Let's see. So, risky rib, 50% chance of improving locker room morale, 60% chance of upsetting them. Otherwise, a 45%. If we did a minor, 15% improving them, 30% improving locker room morale. We're going to go ahead with a risky rib. If it upsets them, oh well. But we have a 45% chance of actually improving their mood. They were upset. So, and Nick Jackson was unhappy with it. And Kenny Omega was unhappy about it. And Rich Knox was unhappy. And Hangman Page was unhappy. And Brandon Cutler. Okay, so maybe that was a mistake. Apparently, not fans of a good rib. maybe a bad idea for us. So something we'll have to keep in mind next time. But c'est la vie. That is what it is. So we had to put on a good show here. In addition to getting above our average, I really just want to get a really strong Dynamite and boost some of that morale issues. We're at war now. We can't take anything for granted. In fact, I don't know if I could show it here. Production got crazy. We had to upgrade because immediately WWE and NXT went up massive to their production values. And so we're spending a lot of money per show now. So we're going to be dipping into those reserves. It's going to get risky, but we can't afford to look weaker. But I also don't think I can afford to put them on the run in terms of production. We could certainly try. Like, I don't know what the next step up here is. We cannot go higher. I don't know if there's anything higher. There is nothing higher. We are at the pinnacle of production and spending a lot of money on it. We are looking at approximately 250, 350 plus another like let's say 500,000 here, 600,000, and then like another Jesus, Like, we're almost looking at like 1 million per month. I mean, not far off from that. So, you know, I mean, we did do 861,000 last month in performance. That was a pay-per-view month, so that definitely impacted it. So that could be a problem. Not having pay-per-views every month may provide us with a lack of a financial give, and maybe that's something we look at. Maybe we look at doing monthly pay-per-views, and changing it up and not making them free, and getting that boost. And what does that look like? We'll have to see what the financials shake out. Right now, we have a pretty good war chest, so I'm not too concerned in the short term about losing money, because we can always course correct. But I doubt that we're going to be making a profit every month, just from that alone. But we can't afford not to. So we're put in a pretty sticky situation there. Let's go ahead. Let's put on the best damn Dynamite we can. Should be a pretty good show. Leading into, I think, will be a fantastic Rampage. That's our focus. We still have these objectives to worry about, and we get them done. We have this week to do them. We'll see, I guess. Fuego has to win a feud, and he has to have a good storyline. Fuego is... Where are we at with Fuego's storyline? Considered hot, it's 55. Let's take a look at what the what his objective was. According to my records, so just so you know, I know you guys can see it down there. I can't. I have to go back to a screen. 55 heat is what we need. So he's winning this. We could technically have him lose this pay-per-view, or lose this this event, right, with MJF. It's possible. We also have to have Cody get himself in a feud with 60 heat. And we have a feud with Cody with Dustin and him. And it's only 51. So I don't know about that. I don't know if we're going to get there. And of course, the very difficult one is the women's needle mover. We have to take a well-known female wrestler, make them perceived as a star. And right now, we've been trying to do that with Nia Jax, aka Lena. And she's considered well-known, but she is not a star. I don't know what we can do to really make it happen. So we're in a sticky situation here. It's definitely a tough one, and I don't know what it's gonna look like. We might lose a lot of points. We might not go down another level by the end of this. We will have to see. Let's go ahead and let's book this show and see what shakes out at the end of it. Hopefully we can get some of these done, and maybe in a good way. All right, catch you guys on the flip. Alright guys, we are back and ready for an episode of Dynamite. We tried our best to hopefully get as good of a rating as we're going to get. We do need a 65, but really we need a lot more than that. We need something to really kick it out of the park, to get our momentum going. We're at war now. The big man, TK, is not happy with us. We got to do something to change all of that. That's the hope with this episode. Does it succeed? I don't know. We'll see. The main event is a little risky. I'm not sure. But I think it is something that has to happen for our story. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and let's get on with the show. That's weird. I don't know why he's not on screen. But I guess for some reason I set him as off screen. But there's supposed to be a CM Punk there. Apparently the crowd doesn't mind either. CM Punk starts the show with a big promo. He sits down in the ring and begins to dish dirt on Hangman. As we know from the last Dynamite, Hangman Page has basically cost Punk and caused Cody Rhodes to become number one contender for the world title. Punk and him have had words. There's clearly animosity there, and has kind of led Punk down this sort of resentful path. And he kind of dishes on it. Some of it's what we've heard before, and we kind of get a little bit more of his perspective. And he says, opportunity was stolen from me last week, but honestly, that's not why I'm out here today. Today is not about failure. It's about striving to be more. I know I said it before, and I'll say it again. I love all of you. But the fact that you've chosen a weak loser drunk to be the symbol of your adoration instead of me, it really hurts, and it cuts deep. It hurts because you should strive to be more, strive to be better than what you are, and not submit to your lesser self. Hangman Page represents everything that's wrong with your generation. You have no drive, no passion, no ambition to be greater, no self-purpose, no desires other than hedonism. You revel in your own self-inflicted misery with some black-pilled pessimism that warps your reality and says that you can't do it if you try. Hangman took a shot at me last week. Yeah, and I'll send a reply. But it's not going to be about me and him. It's going to be about ending this pathetic masquerade. So we get an idea of Punk here. Punk's straight edge. He believes in the betterment of himself and betterment of others, and he feels that Hangman, this person who's been an alcoholic, been on his and filled with self-doubt, he feels like this weakness is indicative of maybe the younger generation than what Punk grew up. Punk's like a Gen Xer, right? Or like a late millennial. And he feels like there's this culture clash between this sort of pick yourself up and do it, be better, strive to be more, versus reveling in your failures. And, obviously Hangman, we don't really know so much about how Hangman feels about this other than feeling personally slighted, but we can kind of get that feeling from Punk that that he really hates what Hangman represents. It's straight edge versus not kind of mentality, but also we know that there's probably a lot of jealousy secretly in there as well, right? So this got the crowd hotter, got the show off to a strong start with a 71, and we build and continue to build up this bitter Punk storyline and feud for Hangman. We have another fantastic match. We start off with Young Bucks versus Proud and Powerful. It's a high spots match. Young Bucks defeat Proud and Powerful in 12 minutes with a litany of skill sets. Santana and Ortiz about evenly matched, about 56-58. The Jacksons around 77-70. Does very well. And continues to put the momentum forward on the show. This is fantastic. Afterwards, we have a slightly underwhelming segment. Obviously, FTR has been kind of run this campaign of sort of, this is for the real boys, this is for the real tag teams, and we're going to show how dominant we really are. And so they come out, square off with the Bucks, stare them down, kind of calling a little bit of a pissing contest to kind of just say, listen, you're going to have to come through us, right? So we got those sort of battle lines crossed here for another rivalry starting between these two, as FTR wants to become the first two-time World Tag Champions and clearly want to rekindle their old rivalry to prove that they are going to be the most dominant force in AEW. Another commentary segment doesn't do that great, unfortunately. Cody addresses the fans, or, well, the people, I should say. He comes out to a sea of boos. He, of course, has a big smile on his face. He just won a number one contendership for the AEW World's title. And he comments about the world title shot. He says, I've never expected the opportunity to potentially win the AEW World title. It's never been on the horizon. There's always been a dream to represent this company to do it. It would just, it honestly, the last week has been just an absolute flurry of emotions. Can't let these opportunities slip by. And that's why when I was asked, when do I want this match, I said this week on Rampage. Arn comes out. Well, actually, he's already out, but he comes out and gets closer to him and gets on the microphone and says, Arn is like, okay, whoa. Talked about this backstage. You can't challenge. But he's like, what are you talking about? I could challenge it. He says, no, you years ago lost the match. You said you would never challenge. You have to honor your agreements, and you have to relinquish that chance to compete. And Cody just snaps at him, right? And he hisses at him, and snarls, and goes, don't tell me what to do or what I can and can't do. 3 years. 3 long damn years, Arn. I've sat on the wayside, all smiles, doing my best to raise this company up. Meanwhile, the lessers came and went with the belt of the company that I made myself. Because that's the truth no one wants to admit. It wasn't Kenny. It wasn't the Bucks. It wasn't Hangman. It wasn't Mox. It especially wasn't Tony Khan. None of this would have ever been possible without me. And I'm done standing on that sideline. I'm done doing everything the right way. I'm going to do something for me for once. The two of them argue, and eventually Cody snaps and actually pushes Arn down, and then pushes aside. This leads Dustin, who's clearly gotten a bit of a heat with his brother, come out to try to defend Arn after Cody kind of attacks him and breaks up this relationship. Leads to the two squaring off and actually duking it out. After a commercial and order has been restored, it's been announced that Dustin versus Cody will be a match tonight after this kerfluffle. So we got Cody basically saying that it's my company. It's always been my company. And I'm sick of the fans not respecting me. I'm sick of being set to the wayside. I'm sick of always being second fiddle. I'm going to do something for me for once. And he's not going to back down. On Rampage, he's going to fight Andrade for the AEW World title. Unfortunately, though, the segment does just okay. 55, it's fine. Another segment that does just okay. Ruby Soho has a segment. Well, actually, it's not. It's just an announcement, I should say. It's announced that for the number one contendership, as we're building the battle lines for New Year's Bash, which will be next week, it's Ruby versus Lena. Winner faces Britt Baker. Obviously, Ruby and Lena have had some heat, to say the least. So we kind of build further heat for this story, and this match is going to be tonight. Backstage, a lot of backstage segments. We got MJF, who cuts a promo about a match tonight with Fuego. He's with the Pinnacle. He's with Wardlow. He says he's not concerned about Fuego learning from Bryan Danielson. In fact, he only expects the only thing he'll actually be able to learn from Bryan Danielson is how to hurt his head and retire. He and Spears then poke the bear of Wardlow, telling him that their match tonight needs to end definitively. And he's like, and he's been a screw up lately. And for his sake, Wardlow better make sure that MJF wins tonight. MJF kind of taps him on his chest a little bit, in a real conniving, insulting way, and goes, just remember who the real star is. Who's just the slab of beef the star pays. Do your job. MJF walks away. Sean Spears kind of mocks Wardlow, follows behind him. Wardlow just looks fuming red, his face getting flush, and we see him punch through the locker room wall, the drywall just straight through, before walking out with a kind of fuming mad. 63 for that. Not too bad. Could be better, but overall, we're kind of building up the storyline here, and we're going to have a definitive end for Fuego here. Can he beat MJF? We will find out. Meanwhile, Ruby has a promo as well. Again, a lot of backstage segments. This segment doesn't do very well. She talks about Lena, talks about her match tonight, says, I faced a lot of bullies in my day, people who never treated others with the respect they deserve, like to hurt others for pleasure. The thing I've learned about them is when push comes to shove, they just hide behind persona because they're just weak. They're cowards. Lena may think she's tough as a rock on the outside. She may even be. But a battle isn't just fought with muscles, it's fought with your mind, it's fought with your heart. And on the inside, she's as soft as sand. I'll take you on tonight, she says. I'll topple you. And then the Women's World Championship awaits. We lose some heat for this story, unfortunately, as we build up for Ruby. She does not do great in the segment. Who does better is a quick mic work in the ring of Keith Lee, who kind of officially gets fully welcomed to AEW proper. He's been there a little bit. I mean, he's been in a Rampage, but he kind of gets the opportunity to really speak. And he says, I'm here. I'm here because of the challenge. And one of the things that always brought me such interest in AEW was the opportunities that are abound to wrestlers who try hard, who work hard. And one of those things is the TNT Championship and what it represents. It represents an opportunity that idea of AEW being the Ellis Island of wrestling really is culminated in the TNT Championship, that anyone from around the world could compete for it if they so choose. And he wants to reinstate the open challenge again to allow the best to come to face him, to show who they are, to show their mettle, and show AEW, the rising stars. So he starts off tonight with that open challenge. He faces Keith Lee faces himself. Keith Lee faces Jay Lethal, who does a debut here. We just have him as a free agent coming in and having a match to make defense number 2 TNT title here. Keith Lee does defeat Jay Lethal, but we have a veteran, right, coming in, having a pretty solid match at 71. So far, all our matches have been really good. Our segments have been a little underwhelming, but overall got the crowd buzzing. They love this match. A better segment, we have a video vignette from Malachi Black highlighting his view of Chris Jericho through ominous black and white videos. We have several images of Jericho's past, Painmaker, the Lionheart in Japan. We see the back of the Rock and Rolla shirt, and then his sort of music fades and echoes out as we end up seeing in a grayscale just a motel room, the empty bottles of champagne of the Jericho bubbly laying throughout the thing, dripping off of a end table, bottles broken on the ground. And as it pans down, we see behind the bed of the motel the boots of presumably Jericho passed out. We can't see his face. It is implied to be Jericho. It cuts to a photo of Jericho on like a signed autograph on the asphalt floor outside, sort of on a street somewhere. His eyes are marked out with a black Sharpie, and the words Judas written across the image. And then it lights up on fire and turns and withers into black soot. It seems, again, we know Black has been talking about the hypocrisy of the founders of the foundation of the company. He went out after Cody. He broke Cody. He now is going after Jericho, and he's kind of implying that Jericho's a shadow of his former self, right? He's an alcoholic. He's out of shape. He's a liar, apparently, with the Judas implication that we'll have to hear more about. But generally, he is now targeting Jericho and looking to ruin the foundation again to face him. We gain heat for the story. The 65 is pretty good. Ooh, been a pretty underwhelming match. And it's actually isn't really not Nia Jax's fault here, even though she is penalized for being in poor form. Decent reaction from the crowd, subpar wrestling. Lena defeated Ruby Soho in 10 minutes with a standing leg drop. For all of Ruby's words, she was not able to topple Lena. Has a big win to now go to face Britt Baker for the championship. Will this push be enough to make her a main eventer? I don't think so. I think we're pretty much screwed here. I probably should push this match not to New Year's Bash. I should do it on Rampage, and maybe we will. I'm just concerned about the limited amount of matches on Rampage, and I don't expect Lena to do that much for us. But I think we might need to do it to really try to push this this objective here and really try to accomplish it. We got MJF versus Fuego. It's not great, but it's not bad. Fuego del Sol defeats MJF following after interference from Wardlow. Wardlow betrays MJF in the middle of the match. Presumably we have some build up of MJF finally kind of twisting the screws a little too hard and Wardlow costing him a big match. And Fuego gets to have a nice victory to celebrate against MJF. Then we move MJF onto a feud with Wardlow. It's just 57, does okay. Afterwards, we see the aftermath of Wardlow betraying MJF and attacking him and leaving him on the mat. Presumably, Wardlow is going to have to probably go through Shawn Spears to face MJF, but we're going to kind of build onto that. Fuego is probably done with this, but we're going to see how this affects him. I'm hoping it actually gives him a good boost. And we've already, I think, accomplished what we need to. As long as the ratings didn't dip, I think we succeeded in having him have a positive objective here. In our main event, it does okay. We need to remove Arn Anderson from Cody's manager. So we did get a penalty for that, but I don't think it affected us that much. It had good heat, it had decent wrestling. Cody does defeat Dustin in 15 minutes by pinfall. We know these two aren't done, but we definitely have sort of a blow off a little bit here as Cody moves towards facing Andrade on Rampage. They had good chemistry, ends up being a pretty good score. We need a 65, but I really, really want is at least a 68, really a 70. I don't want to lose popularity anywhere. I want to get that rating boosted higher. I don't know if we have accomplished that with this show, unfortunately. And we did okay, actually. We actually did perfect. It was 69, so higher than what I expected. I would have preferred the 70, but that's not too bad. A 69 does not give us any more momentum points or anything like that. We don't lose any, but we are limited in our popularity gain in Canada and British Islands and Europe, but that's fine. We're really more focused on the North American expansion, in which case we gained in popularity in 13 regions, so did fantastic. Love it. Pretty good show. And we are on to Rampage. We have to do a 61 with Rampage. Shouldn't be too difficult, but obviously we want to do more than that. I think we are going to probably push that Britt Baker match tonight, and we might have like a reason why. But I'm going to try my damnedest for Nia Jax to become a main eventer for us to complete this damn objective. I don't know. It's annoying. And of course we have a big match with Cody versus Andrade. I expect that to do very well. So we just kind of have to find another really good match, a work rate match to really boost the show up, and we should be in a good spot. Though the fact that I don't expect Britt versus Lena to do very well is definitely a problem for us, but we might make that a short match and see what we can do and deal with the fallout from that. let's go ahead and do our locker room control. We already used it once. We don't need to do it again. That's another cool thing about having it night to night. Besides just the simplicity of filming these, is we've already done it. We don't have to worry about it. So let's go ahead and let's book the show. Catch you guys on the flip, and hopefully we'll have a successful Rampage. Alright guys, we are back for Rampage. 60 minutes exactly. We need to get a 61. I'd really rather get something like close to 70. Will we get that? Probably not. These Rampages are tough because they're only an hour, but I think this looks like a good card to me, but it's hard to tell. We did commit. I decided to move Britt Baker's match up. Presumably in between Dynamite and Rampage, he would have announced it. Probably would have been better for a live show, but we'll work within the fiction of our universe here, as we have two title matches tonight: Cody versus Andrade, Lena versus Britt Baker. So we don't have a lot of room, but I think overall the show looks good. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Yeah, okay, I'll take that. We start the show off with a work the crowd match. Actually, just a work the crowd match. I don't know if this actually was a work the crowd match. But it's a boy and his dinosaur, aka Jurassic Express, versus the Good Brothers, who are still kind of hanging around. It's pretty good. Jungle Boy pins Carl Anderson with a Canadian Destroyer. Jungle Boy was head and shoulders above everybody else, and definitely ready for a major title opportunity, I think. 70 for in-ring performance here. 56 for Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows. 41 for Luchasaurus. Leads us with a 65. Afterwards, we have a big old square off as the top four teams come out one by one and square off at each other. This segment actually underperforms here. But, we have Cash, Dax come out, confront Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Santana Ortiz come out, Matt and Nick Jackson come out. It looks like we're building to a multi-tag team match, probably to determine number one contender. So we kind of build that up, and then there's a big brawl. It's just everyone's just beating the crap out of each other, cut to commercial, that kind of thing. As we build up this sort of feud between everybody, obviously FTR at the center of it, saying that they're destined to be the first two-time tag team champions in AEW, and are squaring off against everybody. We got really good segment for a standalone promo here from Hangman, responding to Dynamite, to Punk's statements on Dynamite, about why he did what he did and things like that. He says, "So I guess I got to talk about this, huh? Yeah, I did cost Punk his shot. I got angry, decided to go out there, and I let it out. And that is my fault, and I got to live with that. And it wasn't something I was proud of, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not that concerned, because ultimately, he'll get another one sometime soon. For people like Punk, the naturally gifted, they're given their opportunities in abundance. I, on the other hand, have my flaws. I freely admit that. I'm insecure. I am clearly quick to temper. I had a drinking problem. I have anxiety disorder. I'm distrustful, including of my friends. Sometimes I'm self-destructive. I'm human. Punk thinks he's a better man because he's straight edge. Better than all of you. He's never fallen for vice. I think he's a weaker man for never having fallen into a pit, climbed out. Because let's face it, when things got hard for Punk, he quit. When things get hard for a cowboy, they stumble, but they pick themselves back up. Phil, they don't chant for me louder than you because they see themselves as some drunk loser millennials who'll never succeed. They're not setting their bar low. They see in me what they hope for themselves. That bravery to admit when you are wrong. The bravery to keep fighting and to try to be a better person tomorrow than they were yesterday. So if we got to settle this in the ring, we'll have to, but we're just going to clear the air on that now. So Punk does not come out, but we have Hangman kind of giving their response. It's sort of a philosophical fight between the two of them that harbors a deeper resentment that's not being really brought up here, right? This segment does fantastic, though. Hangman's works off the cuff, and it improvises greatly. It got the crowd hot. 73 is fantastic. I mean, you know what? The match is about as good as I can expect. There was supposed to be something else here. I think I had the order wrong. Because there definitely was a promo segment in here at some point. Let me go in there and find out where it is. Maybe remove it. All right, we don't need that anymore. There was supposed to be a vignette of just Britt Baker versus Lena. It wasn't anything story specific, just saying like Britt Baker's comments on it and that kind of thing. Lena's versus Britt Baker is a very quick match. Oh, actually, there it is. Apparently, we just skipped past it. Very, very quick match, 60 minutes or so, or 60 minutes, 6 minutes or so. Lena brutalizes Britt Baker and ends up winning the AEW World Women's Championship. Britt Baker's never been tested that way, and she's completely brutalized. We try to make Lena look like a powerhouse. We dominate. We literally have her set to dominate Britt Baker. We burn some of Britt Baker's prestige in order to try to boost her up, to do whatever we can to move that needle for her, to see if we can get there. This aftermath segment here does okay. 67. Match itself did fine. Wasn't great, but it is what it is. So we have a new women's champion, which is kind of a big deal. As you know, it wasn't necessarily the one I wanted. It wasn't the way I wanted to go, but I did want to remove the belt from Britt Baker, and if we needed to serve it to Lena to try to boost her up to stardom, hopefully we've gotten her to star. I doubt it though. I really do. I think we're going to lose this objective overall. But I wanted to remove it off of Britt Baker, and we have some new talent coming in the next month or so that should hold up a big challenge. So we're going to start building up Lena as a monster to topple. And the beginning of that was to make Britt Baker, who was a dominant women's champion, look like a weak child in comparison, right? And we have a very fantastic match. 79 did great. Most of that's Andrade, to be honest. It had great heat. It had good wrestling. And to the cries of horror to my fans, Cody Rhodes defeats Andrade in 16 minutes by pinfall, illegally using the ropes for leverage, and wins the AEW World Championship. Cody Rhodes is in poor form. Still didn't remove Arn Anderson from that. It got the crowd buzzing. We advanced the storyline of Rhodes to the bottom, which we're going to switch out to something else soon as we follow through with the aftermath of this match, which does pretty well as well. We find out that Cody uses the pedigree on Andrade, then uses the ropes for leverage, cheated his way to win, holds up the championship to a sea of boos, some Matt Cardona level outrage in the crowd as they end the show on a horrible note, as we hear from the announcers, my God, a new reign of terror begins. Cody Rhodes has completely betrayed his honor, his code. He's become champion. Andrade got cheated out of it, who was our great champion. I liked Andrade as our champion, but now we move to Cody. Ironically, a similar story unfolding in real life of Cody Rhodes getting the TNT championship, but we're going one step further here. We're starting a reign of terror. Full Triple H Cody Rhodes has become world champion. Gets us a 69. We end the show. We need a 61. I want a 68 or higher. Did we get it? We did. 68. Perfect. That actually gives us one chip back. So we can add that to the chart there. As we get one back, which was very good. We're about to probably lose a bunch more, though. We kind of see where we lie with the objectives for the week. This was the last week we could do anything about it. But overall, really good show. We got 11 regions, got increased in popularity. Very good week for us. All right, we got our news. Part of which was during Dynamite, we apparently hit a nerve with WWE officials. We gave them some jabs, some little verbal jabs on the show last night that seemed to land very well with the fans. Some of the shots became internet favorites and are busy bouncing around wrestling forums. They started the war. We're not going to go too hard, but we're not above throwing some jabs out. The show was great, got a lot of praise. Rampage was considered great as well. So overall, very good show for us. Lance Archer, not a big deal. Viewing figures looked very good. We had our one-night deal with Jay Lethal. We might bring him back full-time, but right now I'm fine with just bringing him in freelance. Overall, a fantastic show. Now, the moment of truth, though, we're not going to spin the wheels this week, but I do want to look at where we're going to be, because we're not going to have any other shows for the year to change this. So we have 3 objectives that all were up for grabs here. We had Fuego needs a win. Have him go over a well-known or higher wrestler in a short feud with at least 55 heat. We have Where is Cody? We haven't seen Cody in a while. Get himself in another feud this month with at least 60 heat. And Women's Needle Mover. Hire a well-known female wrestler. Make sure they are perceived as at least a star. Did we do it? Well, I don't know. Let's start with Fuego. Fuego needed a objective or a feud with 55 heat. We got a 61. The feud is done. We did a good job there. We succeeded. It looks like that is going to give us 3 points. That's good for us. Actually, all of these are 3 points, so not too bad. Our Cody Rhodes, I'm not sure about. We needed a 60, but it's with Dustin. Did we get it? We did. We just got there. We just got there with, obviously we added Andrade as a supporting actor for part of the story to really boost it up, because we're not done this story, but we did achieve this, because our story is going to continue with, I think, a blood feud lights out match with Dustin, as he kind of really has to cement his full heel persona. So we've kind of built up that. Cody now being our champion is a big deal and adds to that. So that is very good. And of course, we need to know about our women's mover, needle shaker here. Did we accomplish this? And did the win give her enough to boost her up to star? Currently, we'll just search our women's wrestlers. I don't even think Britt Baker was classed as a star. She was still just well known, and that's going to be our problem. Is that we don't have stars in the women's division, right? So I don't think there was much that we could do to move her there, but we tried. And she's still just at well known. So it does not do enough. We did not get her to stardom. So we do lose 3 points there, though overall the other wins kind of negate it. We actually gain 3 points out of the whole bunch. So that's not too bad. Overall, it didn't hurt us that much. So we have 3 whole new objectives. In addition, at the end of January, we need to complete our major objective that's worth 10 points, which is MJF, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, or Darby Allin must be viewed as a major star. Now, we kind of hurt MJF in this situation because we made him lose the Fuego. And we're probably going to lose the Wardlow. He is considered a star still. Darby Allin's probably was the closest, and is he there yet? He's still just a star. I don't think Sammy is there. Sammy's just well known. So Jungle Boy is really the one that can we push him in. He's considered a star, but he's not considered a major star. If we look at our major stars, who's our lowest? 69. I don't know if we're going to get anyone that... Yeah, oh, there's some spoilers in there. We did hire Charlotte Flair, so... when her contract is officially up in 22 days, we know maybe who our next women's champion is, but a much-needed get here. I don't think any of our stars are... or our pillars are close. MJF's the closest, and not by far. Or by far, I should say. Jungle Boy is pretty far away. Maybe a big win would do it. Maybe a big TNT championship win would do it. I don't know. But that's going to be a tough one. I don't know if we're going to get one of those four pillars up to where we need them to be. But that is for another day. We will spin the wheel on the next episode to get some new objectives. Always looking for some more. So if you're interested in adding some more, either join the Discord and add them to the wheel channel on our Discord, or you can find a link in the description below, or add them to the Comics to YouTube. We're still adding a whole bunch more. There's been some great ones that people have added, so feel free to add them along. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode, and I'll see you next time. Another episode, AEW New Era.